Is the governing body above reproach? Are they actually allowed to lord it over God's sheep? As men on the earth, no one is above the law, and to be above reproach would mean no one can correct you, but all men can be corrected. The Most High God is the only being whose hand no one is capable of checking. The governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, on the other hand, are not above the law and therefore must be responsible for the leadership in which they place themselves. We, as Bible followers and followers of Christ, must check their hand and be sure the Spirit is of God. This is part of our searching as if for hidden treasures, as the Bible commands us to do at Proverbs 2:4, so that we may find the knowledge of God. In the year 2020, when the COVID pandemic broke out, Kingdom halls closed for safety measures. The Jehovah's Witness members waited to see what the governing body thought of the vaccines, which were about to be approved. The governing body then released information that there was no blood in at least one of the vaccines. Members were then ready to decide whether they would take the injection or not. When the COVID injections were available to the members of the Watchtower organization in 2021, some members, after waiting in anticipation to take it, took it and were able to travel in good conscience, knowing there was not a blood issue to be concerned about with the injections. Other members, though, were reluctant to take in the injection since they felt it was not tested and was still in the experimental stage. Because of allergies or persons prone to sickness, some decided against taking the injections in fear of the unknown. The governing body on their jw.org website had updates to inform the members of the organization of the progress being made concerning the percentages of those who decided to take the injections at Bethel, which is the headquarters of the governing body and the residence of many members who work for the organization. These Bethel members were commended for taking the injections. At first, the members felt it was optional to take the injections since they were always taught to be neutral, and many members chose not to take the injections since it is a conscience matter. But then the updates given by the governing body members in 2021 began to make members feel pressured into taking it. Updates 7 and 8 were particularly demanding. When the traveling overseer visited one congregation, the one I myself attended at the time, he even threatened the members that they better take the vaccine, especially if there was a mandate. The members were pressured into thinking it was Jehovah's will, and the governing body informed the members that Jehovah wouldn't have them take it if it were harmful, indicating that instead of the governing body insisting they get the injections, that it was in fact God insisting on this health choice, even to the point of limiting the activities of those choosing not to take it. Health choices do belong to the members, not the governing body. Otherwise, that would in fact be lording it over the members of the organization. Now that there have been numerous health issues after taking the injections, even deaths, there has been no apologies from the governing body. The governing body is not responsible for insisting on the obedience of members to take the injections. In one video put out by the governing body, a nurse was praised by the governing body member for taking the vaccine and keeping her job, while the others who refused the injections and lost their jobs were not praised, showing that the governing body were not neutral regarding this health issue involving these injections. Now, in the past, the organization members were never allowed to push their health choices on others. For example, one may decide to take herbs while another will take the prescribed medication from a doctor. But this was a no-no for the members of the Jehovah's Witnesses to push or influence others about their opinion on health choices. But the governing body, on the other hand, did just that. So, in France, back in July of 2025, 3 elders in good standing formed a judicial committee concerning this matter. 8 members of the governing body who were involved in the coercing of members into taking vaccines, which cause physical injuries, chronic conditions, respiratory problems, heart problems, strokes, etc., even deaths. These ones were summoned to a judicial committee hearing, as is the custom in the organization. This is a standard procedure to have a hearing by the judicial committee when there's an accusation of a member in order to be adjusted by God's word, the Bible. When the 3 elders in good standing sent letters to those 8 members of the governing body, the 8 members did not respond, as if above reproach, not being able to be held to the same standards as the members of the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses are strictly held. As a result, the 3 elders in France held the judicial committee in absence of the 8 members of the governing body, as is a standard procedure when an accused member does not respond to the summons. And the elders in good standing decided to disfellowship the 8 members based on the accusations given, using video updates on the injunctions and the testimonies of the witnesses and victims that came forth. This video of the action taken was released to the public in September of 2025, giving ample time for the 8 members to make an appeal, which they did not. Now that the 8 members were officially disfellowshipped, they are not acknowledging it, showing they think they are above reproach, or they at least hold themselves to a higher standard, untouchable. Now they want to instead accuse the 3 elders in good standing and disfellowship them. This is definitely an eye-opener. The Most High God does not trust men. In fact, we are all warned not to put our trust in men, as Psalms 146:3. God instructs his people to follow Christ and no other at Matthew 23:10. If the members of the organization would have done as the Bible instructs and not as the governing body instructs, there would not be so many members misled, believing in men who do not understand the Bible, which explains why they constantly flip-flop and change every belief that you, as a Jehovah's Witness, have held on to. You are only allowed to believe what the governing body decide, even if it doesn't make sense. Now that's dangerous. But the Bible is instructing you differently. Do not be misled. God always makes sense. And we know that God does not allow the governing body or anyone else to lord it over his sheep. We must obey God rather than men, as we are always taught at Acts 5:29. Thank you for your attention to this very serious matter.